Okay, before we get into the episode, I want to take a moment to talk to you about the work that I do, because this conversation reflects so much of what I support women with. Yes, some people come to me for sobriety, but the work goes deeper than just not drinking. What we're really doing is regulating your nervous system. We're repatterning survival strategies. We're teaching your body how to feel safe with clarity, expansion, and stillness, using breathwork, somatic tools, and deep support to help you stop outsourcing your power and start embodying it. One of my clients recently shared this, and I think it says it best. I started working with Chelsea initially in a sober journey, but she taught me much more than just tools for sobriety. Her sessions were so empowering and uplifting. I learned a ton of useful skills to help with sobriety, anxiety, ruminating, and so much more. I still refer back to the content she gave me, and I use her breathwork and energy movements all of the time. If you're ready for change, she will help you. This is what I love about this work. Once you start learning how to regulate your nervous system, the ripple effects touch every single part of your life. And that's what we're talking about in today's episode. Why healing, growth, and even manifesting abundance all take time, and how to stay with yourself through it all. Let's get into it. What answers or magic bullets are you looking for? The quick fix, the fast track? We all want it. I do too. I want everything yesterday. But what if the very thing that you're chasing is the thing that's keeping you stuck? What if your desire for speed is short-circuiting your healing, your goals, your peace? So today on the Deliberate Exchange, we're talking about why the long game for healing, growth, and abundance and self-trust feels so hard sometimes, and how working with your nervous system, not against it, is the only real way to change your life. So let's go there. Now, I had this moment, I talked about it recently. This was back in 2021 where I was at the dentist. There was a few small cavities, and they mentioned I should probably watch my sugar intake. Now, for context, this is me a year into my sober journey where I had developed a really massive sugar addiction. And because I was already doing a hard thing, I said, okay, but is there anything else that I could do? Like, I was asking very innocently, but I was legitimately looking for some other way because I didn't want to give up the sugar. I wanted the shortcut. Maybe there was a special rinse or a special toothpaste or a workaround. And that moment really stuck with me, especially this week when I went back to the dentist, because I feel like it's a very human thing. And I've done it before in other ways. Like the time that I was paying for a weight loss subscription, Noom. I'm sure you've seen the advertisements for it. And I was paying for that while drinking wine every day. Like, I was all in on paper. I had the tracker. I would put in all of the food intake and the wine intake. I had the plan. I had the intention. But I didn't want to let go with the one thing that felt comforting after a hard day. And that was ultimately a massive part of why I was feeling so heavy, so sluggish, so unhealthy. And that's what we do. We commit to change, but only as long as it doesn't ask us to feel uncomfortable. We want the outcome without the disruption, the clarity without waiting. We want freedom without the discomfort of undoing the old patterns that keep us very, very comfortable. And you hear this said a lot, like, you're not lazy, but we are wired to avoid discomfort. I've talked about this in the past. Your nervous system has one job, and that is to keep you safe. And it often interprets change, even positive change, as an absolute threat. So when you say, I want to feel better, but your body is already bracing for the worst, it's literally a survival mechanism. We have to stop expecting our minds to override a body that still feels unsafe. That's why mindset alone didn't work. That's what I had backwards for like a big part of my healing journey. And now it's why it's the work that I do, helping you regulate your nervous system so change doesn't feel like an attack. Instead, it ends up feeling like coming home. Now, of course, we want speed. We live in a culture that sells it. 10-day detoxes, instant clarity, heal your trauma in a weekend, skip the slow, messy middle, just fix it. The truth is, healing is slow. Health is a relationship. Self-trust is a practice. Abundancy is a frequency and not a finish line. And we get annoyed that it takes time. I know I do. And frustration, like the impatience, like that grasping for the next thing, that's the issue. We keep trying to outrun the part where we have to feel what we feel. Now, from a biological perspective, this makes perfect sense. And that's why I love integrating this into the work that I do, because now that I understand like what I'm doing and that I'm not just like weak or have some, shortcomings, it makes it easier to then adopt the change. It's another layer to it. So first and foremost, the brain loves a dopamine hit. The sugar, the wine, like a new app or scrolling for social media or a bold plan. But the real healing, it doesn't spike the dopamine the same way. It's more steady. It's a lot more subtle. It's cumulative. And if you've read James Clear's Atomic Habits, he talks about the compound effect of small increments of 1% per day. And this is why I teach breathwork and somatic repatterning and nervous system regulation, because you cannot keep thinking your way into long-term change. You have to feel your way there safely, slowly, and on purpose. So what does the long game actually look like? And I've talked about this in past episodes too, when I moved from just basically mailing it in and surviving on a day-to-day basis to being completely self-led. It's really not in big dramatic moves. Although you could certainly look at my experience and think like quitting drinking was like a big dramatic move, or stepping out of the construction industry and into the coaching realm is a dramatic move. But truly what got me to this point are small repeated choices that told my body, we're safe now, we can do this differently. Right? So it's like taking 3 breaths instead of sending the rage text, or drinking water before the wine, although that's a very short-term Band-Aid fix. I just want to caveat that. Saying no, even if it disappoints somebody, or feeling the urge and that discomfort and staying with it instead of numbing it. Or unsubscribing from 5 things and going all in on one. That's the long game. It's not flashy, it's not sexy, but it is powerful because it's real and it's sustainable. And I think that this also shows up in the way that we approach abundance too. So many of the women I work with are tired of being in survival mode. They're tired of scraping by emotionally, physically, financially, energetically. They want abundance and expansion and flow, because those are all the buzzwords on social media. And I get it. I want all those things too. But they're carrying the energy of scarcity into their manifestations. I would be writing, I am so grateful for the abundance in my life in my journal, while feeling panicked or tense or resentful that it hasn't arrived yet. I've repeated those affirmations and then immediately spiraled into, stress about the bills or the business or what's not working. And it's not that the words are wrong, but our bodies don't believe it. And the universe doesn't respond to your language. It responds to your frequency. So here's where the nervous system comes back in. So I read a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza's books, and he talks about how we have to think greater than we feel until we feel greater than we think. So one more time, I'll repeat that. We have to think greater than we feel until we feel greater than we think. And that means we have to start with a thought. I am supported. I am resourced. I am safe. And then we breathe into it. We give the body a felt sense of what that might feel like, even if it's just for a hot second. And that's when things begin to change. Your body doesn't need you to fake positivity, and nobody else does for that matter. Your body needs coherence. It needs alignment between what you say and how you feel in your tissues. So if you're manifesting from anxiety and stress and urgency, you need to stop. Like, I don't want you to override those feelings, because that's not what we do here. We actually feel all the feelings, the good, bad, and ugly. But we don't override it. We regulate it. We use our breath and movement and somatic stillness. And then from that space, we start to think a new thought. And we hold that. And we allow that to shape how we feel. And so now you're not manifesting from lack. You're actually becoming a match for what you actually want. The long game isn't about perfection. It's about presence, like so much of what our lives are. It's not about doing it all right. It's about doing it again and again and again until your body starts to believe you. And you don't need to earn your healing. You just need to stay with yourself. Because the version of you that you're becoming, she doesn't rush. And she doesn't grasp, and she doesn't perform. She receives and regulates and roots. And to be perfectly honest, and this might sound corny, but that woman is magic. And she always has been, until something was installed over years of cultural and societal and familial programming that said she was not. So if you are ready to get out of the stress loops, if you are ready to live in a different capacity, if you're tired of saying all the right things, writing all the affirmations, but then feeling all the wrong things, come talk to me. This is the work that I do. Breath work, nervous system support and repatterning, real lasting change. We don't rush, we rewire, and it changes everything. So you can find some details in the show notes. If you have any questions about this, please reach out. In the meantime, breathe it in, be deliberate, and please be good to yourself.